How we doing, folks? So, I'm gonna do a little art stream here, showing you a new piece that I'm working on. I guess I feel like I could maybe lift the camera up, but anyway, I'm working on a whole new series of images. This one's not quite done yet, but you can get a feel for it. If you're familiar with my fine art, you'll know that, excuse me, that, how do I say? It has a kind of surreal quality to it. And I like to do what I would call mythopoetic art. So that being, I spent all this time setting up, and then during the show, everything goes wrong. So, welcome to Internet Land. Anyway, making work that seems to emerge from the subconscious, that is both filled with symbols that exist in the world and we can understand, but also has personal iconography, almost like a dreamlike iconography. Anything can happen in this dreamlike world. And so in a sense, it's meant to communicate to you on a subconscious level. If I were just drawing portraits and landscapes and still lifes, that would be on a conscious level, that wouldn't be subconscious. It's simply, this is a portrait of my uncle, or here's a landscape in the English countryside or something. So that's all fine and well. I love that. And that's fine art, that's Western art. But this is Imperium art. And this is what I'm attempting to do, is to create mythopoetic art. So I'm going to kind of go through. This piece is just in pencil, and it's just conceptual at this point. We can kind of see this giant woman pouring water into this area, but as you go down, you'll see it's actually a narrow path between two cliffs. And then there is a sort of a heroic figure there with the, this is a runic symbol for life, and then over here we have a circular swastika. So this is the point, mythopoetic, the idea of giants and, warriors and some kind of narrative or tale of heroism. This is the level of consciousness that is deeper than the kind of daily grind, the daily mundane thought, let's call it. So let me say real quick hello to some friends in the chat. Imminent Rain, God bless you. I love you, man. I'm glad you're here. Always feel stronger when I know you're around. And we got Kingdom of Vinland. Awesome. Thanks again for joining. And so we'll just kind of chill and relax. If you guys have any questions about the art, I'm going to talk about a variety of things today. This is, like not every idea I want to kind of follow through on, but I have to get it out of my head, put it that way. So, for example, this piece here, I have a kind of, what do you call it? A crucible where items are being melted down, and I have a statue of Moloch and let's call it a seasonal candle holder. And there are two men on either side, actually four men on either side blowing the billows. You have men bringing wood into this crucible, and then from the center there will be this liquid metal coming down into an area that it's being turned into swords. And so transforming the negative elements in our culture, burning them down, melting them down, and turning them into power. And so in the foreground, this piece is very symmetrical, and a lot of my Imperium art is. I don't know what it is about it. That's another topic. Anyway, so on around here you would have a blacksmith, and he's holding one end of the sword and some kind of clamps. You might have like one of those leather aprons on that they use when they're doing this kind of work. You know, the same thing on the other side. You have another one of these blacksmiths, very muscular. He's got a special clamp. He's holding down this sword. And I assume this is probably just a big piece of wood, big log or something. And they're hammering it out. So if you piece all of these things together, and I think in our community, the symbols are fairly obvious, you know, and in other communities they'll also be obvious, but it's like a reverse of Moloch, the idea of a god that, you know, people sacrifice their babies, their children to. They put it inside this metal sculpture of which there are flames being, you know, created, and it kills the infant. And then they believe that Moloch, through this payment, will then secure them in their you know, quest for power. It's quite evil. Very disturbing stuff. So the idea of putting the statue of Moloch in a crucible and melting him down is, you know, flipping the narrative, I guess, if you will, and transforming it into swords. And now these swords, on one of my other pieces, I'll pull it out real quick. Hang on. In this piece on the cover of my new book, Imperium Calling, there is a kind of a shield maiden, and she's holding a shield and a sword here. If we look very closely on the sword, there's little markings that indicate it's essentially the British fascism. That was the symbol for that. So I kind of have little, I don't know if they're Easter eggs because they're there. I mean, if your eyes are open, you know, you're going to see them. But that all contributes to the meaning. I'm wondering if maybe there could be carvings in the stone here that in some way would have meaning. Like if there were, you know, I don't know, I mean, maybe, I don't know, sort of gargoyles or something. Would I want to do that? Does that make sense? I don't know. That, you know, you see where I'm going with this. When you're inventing art, you're jamming on ideas. You're just kind of going with a creative flow. There we go. So let us cruise onward. This idea here, the scorpion on the back of the frog. So I think most people in our sphere would know the analogy and how it's been used to describe the idea of letting all these migrants into our country from other countries that are vastly different from us racially, and also ideologically and religiously, and how they cannot but help to destroy our culture. It's their nature to do so. And so this is a heavy topic that people who are, say, new to this channel would be like, whoa, where are we going with this? And I guess you'll have to follow the channel to find out. But it's this analogy of a scorpion that wants to cross a river, a creek, and comes upon a frog and says, oh, you know, can you help me jump on your back and swim me across the creek, get me to the other side? And no, I can't do that. You're a scorpion. You'll sting me and kill us both. Oh no, the scorpion says, you know, of course, why would I do that? Then I would die. So please be so kind as to take me across the river. So the frog trustingly, naively lets the scorpion on its back halfway across the river. The scorpion stings the frog, and the frog says, why did you do that? You know, we'll both die. And then, so I'm paraphrasing here, is something to the effect of, it's my nature too, you know. And so I feel like this is a really, really powerful symbol, especially since Keck, Pepe, frog, hello, you know, that's part of our online culture, our sort of Imperium mythology, if you will. I think that's a neat concept. So here again, this is done in a very designy kind of way. Um, I don't know. Maybe I should put my glasses on, see what the comments are. Reminds me that that I still you. Oh yeah, Rod Coleman's going to do a review of my book on Amazon. Again, the link, my links in general, you can find Imperium Calling. Maybe do a little bit of a sneak peek with this book here, if you'll give me a second. And I thank anybody and everybody who could do a review of it. In the beginning, I have a kind of dedication page, a forward. Actually, the forward is written by Spencer Quinn. If you're familiar with him, I illustrated his last book, No College Club, and he contributes regularly to Countercurrents, and then he's got several other books. I've had him on this channel. Look for the interview on Solzhenitsyn. It's quite heavy. It's a really profound and phenomenal book. Thank you, blah, 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 all the usual book stuff. And I go into some poetry here. So I did some graphic design on the poetry pages so that it wouldn't just be kind of plain, and you can enjoy that. A little bit of illustration in there as well. I love how I set up the camera, and during the show it's like flopping on me. This is a painting I did actually quite a long time ago. Let me try to get a better angle of it. Now, here's the thing about art, excuse me, is the authenticity of it. Art is a window into the artist. It is I guess a TV or a movie screen through which you see the artist's world. And so you see their personal experience, their philosophy, what they find beautiful, etc., etc. And this is a piece I painted when I was 19 years old. So that's not written anywhere in the book, excuse me. And in many ways, it's kind of the basis of my style. This was just a totally organic painting. I didn't look at any photo references. It's just straight out of my head. And so here we have a kind of a Western style pillar, sort of a Doric top to it. We have, I'm sorry, I need some water. We have this kind of dome type structure allowing light to come in. But then you have this enormous bonsai tree. And it's obviously that sort of represents something Eastern. But then the painting is an oil painting. So it's done in this, rich Western oil painting kind of way, if you will. And then circling the tree within the light is this maiden holding a book. But beneath her is a kind of, it's actually a little hard to tell what is he. It almost looks like a golem. No. This is a young man, maybe even a boy, and he's holding a wheel. And why is he bald? What's the significance here? And so his body language, the way he's looking at her, the way she's looking at him, there's some kind of or relation happening here. And so the more the artist tells you all the art, the more he or she robs you of your ability to create a relationship with the art, for you to interpret the art. And so when you interpret a work of art, you see things that are very plainly clear. I see a woman, I see a man, I see the background architecture, da. And in some cases, you might see symbols that you don't understand. You may need to research them or something. You might even see meaning in the colors of things. Like, why is the shield yellow or gold? Does that have meaning? So questions of this sort, and then you piece them together, and then you might even kind of go even deeper and say, oh, there's some symbols over here, and what are these here? The sort of DNA strands, etc. What's the relationship between this helmet, this cross, this architecture, and this architecture? These are different times in Western history. So you're pulling together your own interpretation of a piece of art. So anyway, applying that to this is challenging. I love the engagement. You cannot grow as a person. You can't have a deeper, profound relationship experience from art if you're not challenged to engage it, in the ways that I'm discussing here. So, very interesting. And if you guys want to share your thoughts, Imminent Rain is saying, is that circle of arrows the chaos magic symbol? So I will say that the most I'll say about that arrow or that image is that I took it from a series of images that represent nationalism and fascism over many, many different countries and different groups that have that. And it's funny, every time I make a video like this, I'm always kind of thinking, well, what about that one person that doesn't belong to this, that doesn't know or is a part of this community, our culture, our talking points, our history, and they hear me use certain words. Are they going to follow along in the true context and meaning of these words? Well, I can't do everything. I can only do so much. So anyway, I'm really in love with this piece. This actually hangs over my bed. It's got a beautiful frame in it. It's fairly large, probably about 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide, something like that. And I will be selling this, actually. I'm working on developing a sales portal for my site, and we'll get to that in the future. This one is the new St. George Nullis Amalek, and I did a multimedia piece with this. It's also on my YouTube channel. Look around, search for the new St. George. Nullis reads his poetry over it, does some nice video editing, and then there's some very interesting background music. So I see, just curious, I'm just reading the comments here. Wow. Are you the Drake of Imminent? Okay. Imminent Rain's having some fans in the audience, which is great. You all should be friends of Imminent Rain. The dude is ridiculously talented, crazy. Anyway, this is just a kind of a little bit of a sneak peek. Here's a very, very good example of mythopoetic art right here. So you can kind of absorb it a bit. And again, there's something with symmetry that I cannot get away from. It's weird because as an artist, you question yourself and you think, should I be doing this? Does this look bad? Is this cheesy? Is it having the effect that I want? And I feel that symmetry in art becomes kind of supernatural in the sense that we don't see symmetry in nature this way. And so it makes the art object art in a sense, right? If that makes sense. So that's the beauty of your book. Okay, Rod Coleman is saying in the chat, that's the beauty of your book. I was indeed challenged to look deeper into each work, kind of like a puzzle. I'm also feeling vindicated that I actually caught your drift, so to speak. Very cool. Very cool. So beautiful. This is always fun. We're definitely going to do more of these. I'm sorry, I'm still working through life issues and stuff. You know how life kind of gets in the way of life, Anyway, this has some very deep personal meaning to me, but I would just allow the viewer to enjoy it and work with it with themselves. Do you guys remember Full Moon Ancestry? He ran a really cool YouTube show, super positive. He lived in Europe, cruised around Europe, and just had an extremely strong, positive message. This is a kind of a dour piece, though, which is interesting. But I illustrated this for him as a graphic for one of the shows that we did. So I don't know where he is now. He's just cruising around Europe, probably doing cool stuff. So I have a fine art section. I have a comics section. This is a page from a comic written by Kai Muros. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Kaimuros. So, and if you haven't gotten it, there's a great book of Kaimuro's speeches on Antelope Hill. I have it, but it's like out of reach right now. Unfortunately, I can't grab it. So he wrote this, and I produced it, and it's another project of mine that's going on. So you get to see some cool comics in here, and then there's just a kind of a illustration area where you can see some of the illustration work that I did. People don't know me as a caricature artist, but I did caricatures for many years. Actually, Richard Spencer bought these two, and I gave him the Julian Assange as like a bonus. So, like, if you become a collector of mine, you might be surprised to catch some bonus artwork in the packaging. If you would like to become a collector of mine, you should go to my site, kent-art.weebly.com, and I'll put that in the show notes. And you can do a portfolio tour where I'll give you a personalized interview on what are you looking for, if you want to do a commission, or which one of my artworks resonates with you. But anyway, back to this. I mean, technically, I could even do political cartooning of this sort if people wanted that as well. Moving on. So anyway, I guess I shouldn't show off too much of the book. I've got to leave some as a surprise. So Imperium Calling, the art and poetry of Donald Kent. And there you go. So let's get back to the cozy art stream. So we just did this. Here's another piece that is almost done. It just needs some refining. It's driving me crazy. I'm really gonna have to fix the phone, so you guys will have to bear with me as I get my little apparatus to behave as I wish, using the strength of my will to move around in here. Is that working? Not so much. So this would be like a great time to like bring in some dancers or something and be like, okay, distract them while I work on this problem. Anyway, God bless you guys. So with this piece here, you can see this guy, and what's he doing? He's, it's just, again, surreal, laden with symbolism. If you always look a little closer, you'll find a few little messages that are, have meaning, are powerful. I'm going to read some of the comments here. What do we got? Looks like a fantastic book. Thank you, G7. Imminent Rain, I want to check out that multimedia piece with Nullis and Amalek. It's phenomenal. I'm very, very proud of it. Of course, I owe so much to those guys, though. Please check it out. It's on this channel, so please do check it out. What else? Love that. Hello, gamers. Trash Compactors here. Welcome, Trash. Dude, your caricatures are awesome. Well, thank you. There's a lot of fun stories about doing caricatures at like weddings and stuff like that, all these funny stories. Caricatures are fun. Anyway, whoa, that looks like how I felt when I worked for Amazon. Ouch. Hey, CG is here. Hey, great time to mention. I am going to be on CG's show. Monday night, tomorrow night. So I'm extremely excited about him having me on. Maybe a little bit nervous because I'm not as smart as him. So anyway, it's going to be a really interesting show. He does a great show on the war in Ukraine. It's kind of a military show. You guys want to check it out. He can put it in the chat there. But Dirty D, it's on Odyssey. Definitely check it out. So to me, I'm like, when I show you something like this, I'm kind of asking, like, is this art too obvious? Like, does it hit you on the nose too hard? Does it lean into fantasy too hard? Is it art? Is it good? You know what I'm saying? And granted, there's a lot of touch-ups. I'm going to go in with some white paint and do some real nice, strong highlights on it. and clean it up in areas, maybe do something with the background, not sure. But is this any good though? You know, do you guys resonate with it at all? So um, let me know in the comments or in the, what's it called? The part under the video. So here's another piece, excuse me, that I'm looking at. I really should have like cough drops or something, right? So here, if you're looking, this is based off of a William Blake painting of God kind of leaning out of the heavens and shooting lightning down from his fingers. And I changed that to this circle here. I have it's kind of like the hermetic symbol of Earth. It's sort of a flat Earth thing. I'm not a flat earther, but you have a bubble here with a circular piece of land, some mountains, and I have Apollo actually here, and his halo is something like a Buddhist wheel of samsara. There's a symbol here that you might know, and he is pushing out this kind of mythological beast, sort of kind of a horned beast with a cane that has two snake heads on it. What could that possibly mean? It's called Expulsion. And again, I start off with the pencils and then I go in with the tones. Maybe I'll work on this today. That could possibly be a thing. Welcome my channel. Glad to have you here. So, but again, conceptually, how does this work for you? If you guys can comment in the chat, that would, it's important for an artist to connect to the audience. I don't think it's just a one-way street. I don't think it's all about, me showing you art. I'm deeply enriched and inspired by how my art affects my viewers and my collectors. You see, so it's an important part of this entire process. It's, there's a saying that you only do one painting in your life. You just do it over hundreds of canvases. And so in the process of that ongoing painting, you also, meet with and talk with the people that are, your audience. And I do have a target audience, of course, but I'm really interested in anyone and everyone and what they may have to say about the work, how it resonates with them. I do understand it can be uncomfortable to an extent where there's a challenge of interpretation. You can clearly, like if you had to describe the image to a blind person, you could say, okay, there's water, there's a close-up of a face looking out of the water, but just under it is another face that's an older man with a beard, And as you're describing it to somebody, they might be asking you, well, why? What does it mean? Why are there, what's the symbolism of the mermaids here? Why are they pulling on his hair? Is this the same person? Why is one part light and one part dark? What is the sun wheel there for? What is the sun wheel or the black sun? What is this? And so the concept of the wheel is something that you're going to see again and again, like I showed you in the Imperium Calling book. So there you go. I suppose I could noodle around on this for a bit, but there is something I wanted to share with you just in the whole overall discussion of art, which I'm pretty much engaging in on this show, is what is good art within the context of art history and today. And so if you're looking at my work and you're considering buying it, or even just trying to understand it or critique it, then you want to look at different art movements or sources that are happening or have happened, and then compare it to, well, where would this fit? Now, art is not dictated by the market. The market should be dictated by the art. Unfortunately, we probably all know that that's kind of not how it goes in many ways. So I'm going to sort of show you a few different things to see the comparison of all this stuff. Recently, a buddy of mine gave me this book, Masterworks on Paper, blah, 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 blah. And you know, I don't know where he got it from, but it's got some nice classical work in it here, and it's okay. That's lovely, you know. Winslow Homer, you know. Some of it, this is adorable. I'm not sure that's the right word, but Ung is a really outstanding artist, and like I don't know, it kind of makes me speechless when I look at his work. It takes clearly at an amazing level of skill, but it's what he does is beyond skill. It's otherworldly. I don't know really how to even describe it. And then Cezanne, who I think is a hack. Seurat, not a fan. Blah, 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 on and on. And so there's, you know, and then you're starting to get into this kind of, well, I wouldn't call it minimalism, but it's sort of like an African minimalism. It's a horrible image, garbage. And then it gets worse and worse from here. You know, it turns into crap and then more crap. And like, what the hell is that, you know? And, you know, there might be some redeemable qualities to some of these pieces or some of these artists. But at this point, you're really just seeing the death of Western civilization. Some of it intellectually was very interesting. Cubism, pointillism, yada, yada. And fine, we all have our opinions, yada, yada. However, to me, I think that, like I say, we're moving away from Western tradition. Of course, this is a lovely piece here, kind of moving back to tradition, you know. And you got to wonder, how did the Edward Hoppers exist in their time when everybody else was doing this, you know, when it was kind of like everything was sort of falling to pieces in terms of, oh no, the camera has stolen our job, you know. You know, I can appreciate someone, Moreau, the playfulness, yada yada. But actually, I love Emile Nolde. His work it's disturbing in its own way. I don't know. I'm not going to make a show about all that. But so anyway, we're seeing these things. That's lovely, but you know, we're seeing some kind of not, I wouldn't call it folk art, but art of the people. You know, the working class, these kinds of things. So there's a lot going on. All these different directions are starting. This is hideous. And so you're thinking, well, okay, what does the artist today do? Where does he go from there? You know, when it's all that, you know? So there is a kind of an adjacent art market, which is kind of, I guess you would almost call it pop art. For lack of a better term, it combines fantasy, graphic design, fine art, pop culture into a new kind of art. And this isn't new. But I suppose there's something freshish about it. Is that a word, freshish? This is a really great example of like, you know, like the mundane quality of like modern commercial culture imprinted over, say, you know, tradition, history, you know, the beer commercial, what's up, you know, that whole thing, or that would be like normal in a text, for example. It makes you question, you know, that's what art should do. There's something happening there. Anyway, so does my work fit this market? Is this not the direction, but is this where I belong? You know, into this kind of cutesy, weird, broken home sort of imagination. I won't lie, I am intrigued by a lot of it. A lot of the stuff that you see in sort of like the fine art magazines are just sort of repeating the same stuff over and over. And a lot of it is abstract. And so, in a weird way, you can't see anything objective that you can identify or have a feeling about, even. You know what I'm saying? Like, as weird as this is, there is a story here. And certainly this leans into illustration heavily, right? But what is the story? And then there's this, the use of these flat kind of teabag shapes makes it sort of fine arty in a way. I'm not saying I like it, but it makes me, I guess I enjoy it a lot more than that kind of garbage I showed you before that isn't in museum, those are in museums for, people to launder money through, I guess. So here again, sort of, I wouldn't say mythopoetic, but certainly it challenges you to interpret what's going on. And there's something about childhood. There's the kind of, I don't know, the relationship between the innocence and war. So there's something thoughtful here. I'm really not super impressed with the quality of the art. It's kind of high school level-ish, but that's fine, whatever. But then I see things that just kind of look vain to me. Like this almost looks like a lipstick commercial to me, or like there's this thing where they'll try to take something cute and make it sinister. And it's like there seems to be a massive market for that. That like, okay, take something innocent and spoil it, like how crazy and offensive can I be? That's not always the case, but it's often the case, I don't think that artists always have to criticize society. They can uplift society too. They can create society. The idea of constantly having to, critique society. It's also tiresome. Anyway, look at the chat a little bit here. Water symbolizes death, like in baptism. I would say life in that case. Refreshing to hear honest artists. Okay. It really bothers me. Sorry, let's move this out of the way. What bothers you? He says, Imminent Rain says, it really bothers me when art that could be scribbled by a monkey is held to be equal and really skillful works. Yeah, not long ago I found basically it was like a TikTok video of some lady that trained her dog to paint paintings, And you would take the brush and dip it in a can and then go to a canvas and scratch it on and back and forth. And then there was some cute little music behind it. And then in the end, a little still photo of, and, they had like a bandana around his neck. And if you want to buy one of Reggie's paintings, message me at blah, 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 and and I took a screenshot of that and I sent it to some artist groups that I'm in. And, it was, kind of like mean humor or something like that. I'm in the artist group, so I'm not like trying to insult them, but rather to say, hey guys, look, how about that, right? We're forget about AI, dogs can paint now, But anyway, yada, yada. Let's see, what do we got here? That sun in red doesn't have 12 sun rays. So I'm glad you pointed that out, because this is the whole point of the discussion, is talking about interpretive symbols, about mythopoetic art that emerges from your subconscious. You may look at that and say, that reminds me of a Sonengrad. And it should, obviously, right? And this edge here, someone who is familiar with Buddhist art would recognize that. That's used, it's a graphic used in like Tibetan paintings, Chinese paintings, for a lotus. So it's a kind of symbol of enlightenment. The lightning bolts has kind of an Odin type quality, or a Thor type quality, I suppose. It's not like a formal Sonengrad is what I'm essentially saying. So, and I have thought, do I want to do art that I want to then put into Photoshop and like import, graphics like Soningrads or any, runes or who knows what. Do I want to do that, or do I want it to be strictly organic? And I'll be honest, I like the organic. I think that there's already so many memes out there of, you know, let's say photographs of sculptures put through a filter and then a Sonigrad put behind it, and I'm not making memes, I'm making art. And I do you see where I'm going with this? And so like it has to be individualized in that sense, if that makes sense. But you're welcome to debate me on that as well. Oh, right, I just popped in. Hey, well, anyway, it's good to have you here. No way. I think I'm gonna noodle around with this guy here. Maybe it's too light. Hold on. I should probably put some music on. What do you think, guys? Music? No music? Where do I want the lighting to come from as well? If I have a sort of straight down light, well, I already have that established with this shadow here, so maybe yes. I think we're gonna say yes to that. Okay. What do we got in terms of music? Is always good. So, all right, if you guys can hang on a second, I will open up another window here, get some tunages on. See what I can find. Something that won't get me in the copyright doghouse. I don't know, or maybe I don't care. I don't know. Let's do some Fash Wave. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah. All right, but you guys have to tell me how loud we can go with this. Maybe I'll go loud so I can just shut up. Okay, pretty weird. The volume isn't coming through. I wonder why. Oh, I know why. All right, give me 10 seconds here, my brothers. I am going to get some tunes for you in a very soon time. Ready? Shit, I love this music, man. Just gets you so pumped, This is like my workout playlist, actually. So, speaking of working out, back to sparring. Having a great time. I'm actually looking for new sparring partners. There's a dude I used to spar with from Vietnam, and he's very good. He's very, very good. Also a chill dude, so I'm trying to see if I can get him going. He's got kids, and he's kind of in that, like, that time of life when the kids are young and you got to be around, and that's all good. Let's see what you guys are chatting about here. Gotta go. All right, well, good having you, Rod. Here, R.I.P. memes. What's the two-headed snake? Have you ever heard of the caducean? So in the medical field, they have a staff with snakes entwining around, and then they come out at the end of the staff. I would just say Google the caducean, or caducean, Cadeusian, I believe. Uh-oh, we've got a spelling bee going on here. I guess essentially you can look at it like a kind of duplicity, sort of lying, having two heads, a snake with two heads. I mean, it's kind of, I'd say obvious to me anyway. All right. But I guess that's the problem, is that the artist, so you don't want to make art that only the artist understands. That's horrible. That's really not cool. That's the kind of thing that, like, it's very juvenile. It's sort of the thing that like a college student would do. Like, only I understand the meaning of this art because you guys aren't smart enough to get it. It's just like, no, you're being a narcissistic douchebag. So like, you have to make art that doesn't alienate the audience, I would say. That's my number one beef with essentially all of postmodernism, is that it just alienates the audience, So I've set up a couple portfolio tours recently. Uh-oh. We've got a cool song. The World of Witchcraft. Sorry, just getting into the tunes here, so. Like, this physical position is very odd, but like I said, it comes from a William Blake painting. I'm sorry I don't have the name of the painting kind of handy, or an image of it, but if you just Google William Blake, you'll see quite a lot, and it's highly likely you'll see this piece. All right, how do I want to do this? So it's really cool the way the shadows work to bring the piece alive. I just start off with like a very general line drawing, and then to me this is kind of like the sculpting stage. I'm kind of sculpting the piece out, So what was I talking about? Not studio tours. I'd love to do studio tours. That'd be awesome. Maybe someday I will. But portfolio tours. So, long story short, I have to set up my site before I can get that really going. But it's nice to have a couple people in the queue ready to look at some work. Hey, wow, it's really coming together nicely. Um, okay, um, Noe says modern art was championed and also used as a form of embezzlement by a certain ethno-religious group. So, modern art and postmodern art. First of all, I'm not questioning what you're saying, but just talking about those things. I would wager that there's much more sort of embezzlement or money laundering or nefarious activity going on in the art world today. But I don't hate modern art in its totality. There were many good artists, from the sort of beginning towards the end, what have you. But I think where I'm really alienated is with postmodern art, which I feel is way more extreme and totally, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Without direction. It's just polymorphous. It's just sort of all over the place. So here as I do this, there's a side of me that's saying, like, should I be painting in this sort of a graphic way? It's kind of my illustration mind that kind of comes out at this point, whereas I feel like I need to be more painterly. This music is off the charts. Maybe I'll turn it down a little bit. All right, buddy. CG, we'll see ya. Cheers. I need some rulers to do certain other things. Maybe what I'll do is the background. That could be nice. Yeah. Totally. So how you guys doing? What's shaking in your world? So anyway, back to the, what do you call it? The portfolio tours. So what I need is to gauge a better understanding of my collectors and where they are, like what they want, what resonates with them. Some time ago, there was an auction with my work, and a lot of people bid on my work, and it was wonderful. It was a great experience. And in the course of that experience, it really struck me like, God, wow, there's people in our movement that really care about my work, and it has great value, and it's important in terms of, I'm very unique, obviously, in the scope of the movement. But I think also because of putting together the Imperium Art Show, reaching out to all the major influencers in our sphere to engage them in the conversation of, like, what are the arts for white identity in the time of white genocide? How are we expressing ourselves as a culture? We need a historic documentation that we existed. That we stood up in the time, when it really counted, when it really mattered. We didn't, think about, oh, well, my friends or my family or my job are gonna X, Y, Z. And, we weren't the cowards of history, And so, the Imperium Arts Show documentary, if you will, is I feel probably one of my greatest accomplishments. And I can't sort of take credit. I just facilitated it, I owe, obviously, a huge amount of gratitude to Nullis and all the massive contributions he brought. But the guests, primarily, people from the White Art Collective, You know, I had Richard Spencer on. You know, Cultured Thug. You know, we had Zero Schizo. Anybody remember Zero Schizo? You know, is it Peru? I think he's from Peru. He's not even like fully white, you know, and so, but it's not about that so much as it's about nationalist culture as well, you know, and fascism specifically. That's what he was discussing on the show. So it's interesting to look at other cultures that are trying to protect themselves as well, namely against our common enemy, communists, you know. So there's just such a broad variety there. Anyway, all of that put together, you know, it has value, it has meaning, and it's a sort of a historic documentation. So then the question is, well, where are we going from there? You know, what's next in our culture? And the artists have a job. You know, we are, this might be a heavy-handed word, but we're kind of the shaman of the culture. We imbibe on the kind of suffering of our people in this time, and we transmute it through a kind of psychological process into art, and then reflect that back to the culture. And so, and that, you know, gives us identity. We see ourselves in it. And so we exist. And I mean, it's not like we don't, do I exist? You know, it's not that philosophical. But yeah, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of power and value to that. And so then the other side of it is like, this is who I am. Like, anti-racist Hitler is somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, that's absolutely hilarious, and like the way that's all put together, and the themes of it, you know, da 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 da. I would never make anything like that. It's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? So that's somebody else. They have a certain kind of style, a sense of humor, even the art style of it, which is, I don't like to use the word crude, but you know, like homemade. Let's say that it's homemade. You know, that has a purity to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was made by our culture, people on the internet. You know, just ordinary people. You know. Sorry, I dropped a few things here. I'm hustling all these things here, trying to figure out what's next. So, where am I going with all this conversation? Sometimes it's tough to talk and do art at the same time. So it's like juggling and riding a unicycle. There we go. So let's see what else we got here. Anybody else? No? Okay. Yeah. So during the portfolio tours, I'm going to be asking collectors why. Like, what is it about this work that you like? What kind of work? It's not that I'm saying what kind of work you want me to make. Rather, what is it about the work that I make that you like? You see the difference? So from there, because I'm already making it, you know, it gives me a sense of like, this is working. You know, this particular approach to art is working. It's resonating with people. I guess this isn't exactly Fash Wave, but I like it. It's probably too repetitive for you guys, so I'll probably change it in a second. I don't want you to run off. So, how's about some Imperium Eterna? Maybe put the sound up a little bit more as well for you. reason. Oh, it's loading. You know, it's really, really nice is when you see the whites put on here. Then it's like, wow, this just looks quite beautiful. The shadows bring form, but when they put white on it, the highlights just make it come alive. It sparkles. It's really beautiful. Of course, it doesn't sparkle. I'm being, you know, imaginative. So, No Way says, I used to be a pencil artist when I was younger. I even won second place at a county art fair. Very good. But I got older, and now I hate drawing. It's kind of nice watching someone else draw, though. Okay, cool. Why do you hate drawing? What I hate is when I'm creatively flustered that I can't decide what to draw. Drawing can be tedious. Like if you ever do comics, and you're like, okay, now I got to draw all the windows on this building. That's like you like the effect of it. It's very, very cool when it's like, wow, that looks phenomenal. But the doing of it is not so phenomenal. And with this kind of art, I'm really looking to have more pleasure in what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So occasionally I'll watch one of the artists from Comicsgate. I'll like tune into one of their shows and enjoy watching them draw or ink. It's kind of fascinating because I think as you're watching, moment to moment, you're sort of curious, well, how is he going to hit that line? How is that going to come out? And why is he making these choices? So I could do this more mechanically where like I do the whole thing in one tone and then the next, and then cover the whole thing with another darker tone and on and on. It's a little too methodical. It lacks spontaneity to do that, so it's maybe not as fun, I suppose. But I feel like, well, yeah, I probably should do that too. Fickle artist. My dad used to tease me when I was a teenager. He'd say, temperamental artist. And I'd be like, Dad, I'm not a temperamental artist. He's just kind of ribbing me, It's probably not easy having an artist in the family. I don't know. It depends on how conformist you are. That's true, actually. All right, that's coming together kind of nicely. I think this needs to get darker. Yeah, we need to go darker. All right. Howdy to Imperial Crusader 21. Good to have you. No Way says, I'm not sure. I get frustrated now. Yeah, that kind of describes how I feel. Indeed. It's got to be engaging to you. I mean, if you're not enjoying it, how can you kind of expect others to like it, When I don't think this is dark enough. I need darker. When I was playing in bands, one of the things I used to kind of fight with the guitar player because we had like pretty bad creative differences, and he always just kind of wanted to do songs that he wanted to hear, and I'm like, dude, do that in your bedroom. Like, people are paying money or they're going out to see a show. Play songs that people want to hear, or that at least fucking know what the songs are, not some B-side to like I don't know, like an obscure 80s band that was weird to begin with or something. Or prog rock. I love prog rock, but I don't ever want to play it, in a to a crowd of people. So the same is kind of with your art. There's a sort of a question of how, and that goes right back to what I was saying about the studio tours. Is if you're not enjoying what you're doing, how could you expect your viewer or your collector to like it? So find a way of working that excites you. It's that simple. I'm helping out a friend with her art sales, her kind of art business planning stuff. And that's kind of the things that I'm trying to convey to her is have fun, like play in your studio, play with your art so that it is enjoyable to the viewer, and they can partake in that, When you see a basketball game or some kind of a sports game and someone gets a score, people who are into the sport or whatever, they're thrilled by that. They kind of vicariously, they sort of, share that experience, I guess, if you will. Talking about classic rock. I might change this, though. Should I change this? You guys decide. Actually, there might be some copyright issues, so... No. Sorry, boss. It's funny, like, you can play Fash Wave, no one will complain, but... Anyway. What else? Let's maybe do my music. How about that? We'll do some Donald Kent. Can't go wrong with that, can you? What do we got? Let's hear some music. Forget about it. Get out of here. Don't worry about it. I got you. And there you go. All right, we're back. Or not. We're having an EMP attack, apparently. Bass guitar. And there you go. All right, what are we going to work with next? You know what? Just for giggles, what if I busted out the Bombay India ink Extra Blanche? I gotta shake this stuff up a bit. Alright, I'm not actually outfitted to do this. I usually need a rag, paper towels. I don't kind of sort of not have that handy. Uh-oh. Oh shit. This is where Donald Kent goes nuts. Gotta get back into music, guys. This is the age of heroes who will step up to the plate. We'll trap the victory in the hours getting late. Sudden into the blood. Come screaming out right. Don't be afraid. Just stand up for what's right. But some of us know the enemy. Honest and not blue. If you choose not to fight, you choose to lose. The time of talk is over. We are the new master. Reject the modern world. Become who you are. Become who you are. Democracy is dead. When it can always ring it. Call out the enemy and the call you will pick it. There was half the power here. Not here in us. We made a new world. Made a new start. And I don't care what you say. And I don't care what you think. I'm going crazy living too long on the brink. The time for talk is over. We are the new night stepper. Reject the modern world. Become who you are. Become who you are. So as you can see, it comes alive once you get the light on it. You know. I had this thought the other day that we were destined to win. And the thought came from the idea that what are the mythological narratives of peoples? That's heavy, you know, but if, like, you know, if you look at the the, the Little Hat crowd, they've they've got their history and their narrative very clearly, very detailed, and a sense of destiny is like deeply planted in them by that religio ideology. What is ours? And I think Christians would certainly have, could say that they have theirs or they know theirs. But I think what I'm asking is like, what about our race? What is the mythological narrative of our race? Perhaps we should write it. I think it's already written. It's written in our DNA, and it's victory. Let's see, we got somebody, let's see. Corey says, welcome Corey, hey, fam. Can't stay long, but I figured I'd drop in and say hi. Awesome sauce. Leave a thumbs up. Many blessings, Culture Gang. Awesome, I love it. Hey, we're starting a band called Culture Gang. What instrument are you going to play?
This is the age of heroes. Who will step up to the plate? No time for bickering, the hour's getting late.
So you're seeing how this is coming together. Pretty nice. So that's what's going to happen with this piece. You can get a sense of how it'll finish out. All right. Me, bass. Corey says playing bass, but it's been decades. I started out as a bass player, my bro. Oh shoot. Oh no. Oh, did I lose you? No, I did not. So anyway, we lost the music though. But anyway, the funny story with the bass is that I'll have to get the music on in a second. When I was, I don't know, 12, 13, about 13 years old, I had two buddies in the neighborhood. They were like the guys that, one lived across the street from me and another like 2 blocks. And so, whatever, that was my local crew. And the one guy who lived 2 blocks away, he already played drums. And it was always fun to hang out in the basement. He would play drums. We'd, whatever, listen along with like songs we knew, yada, yada. And one day I just, I'm heading over there to hang out with my buds, I get there and I hear this, loud guitar coming out of the basement where the drum set is. And I go there and the guy who lives across the street from me, he's got a Fender guitar and he's jamming out, doing some silly 3-chord song, and my friend's playing drums and they look cool as hell. And I'm like, I want to be a part of this, I mean, I'm the fifth wheel. I'm the guy left out. So I pretty much determined, like at that moment, like, okay, I gotta learn how to play bass guitar, And so sure thing, mom, dad, I gotta get a bass guitar, and being good parents. Well, also I really come from a musical family as well. My mother's father was a big band orchestra conductor, and he, plays keyboards, organ, etc. So there's quite a bit of music on that side of the family. And so sure, they're, oh yeah, that'd be great, we'll get you some lessons and this and that, whatever. So hence Donald Kent, the bass player, was born. And you know, as when you're just starting out and you have an actual bass guitar, it's pretty like, oh my God, this is so cool, you know. 13 years old, you know. Anyway, the crazy thing about it is that the guitar player kid, he's actually more of a jock. And he lost interest in it, I don't know, you know, a year later or whatever. But the drummer and I, we went on, you know, had different players that we played with, and we did like Battle of the Bands in the high school gym, you know, that kind of fun stuff. Great memories. I think I even have some video of that. Maybe not so proud of my hairstyle at the time, but hey, it was high school. Give me a break. So whatever. The things you do. Anyway, so I'm just going to keep getting back to this, but I think I need to maybe put the tunes back on. What do you say, guys? More tunes? We'll have 2 bass players, Corey. How's that sound? Let's get the tunages on here again. There we go.
This is the age of heroes. Who will step up to the plate? No time for bickering, the hour's getting late. Sojourning to the bar, obscuring our plight. Don't be afraid to stand up for what's right.
What was wrong with your hair? I is here. Hello, I. What was wrong with my hair? Enjoying the Mr. Kent story time and live art. Okay, I'll give you some more stories then. And yes, pleasure with the tunes. Good stuff. Welcome back. Good to have you here. I hope me talking over the music isn't bad. If it's the audio's weird, just tell me and I'll turn it down. So I used to, I don't know, like in high school, I grew my hair longish. Wasn't like, you know, past my shoulders, I guess, but it was cool long, I guess, if you will. And rock star, you know, I don't know, sort of a Keanu Reeves-ish long, if you can picture that, I guess. But maybe I'll turn it down a little bit. It just feels like I'm yelling. And I don't know what gave me the idea that I should like trim my bangs and leave, or not, was it? Yeah, to trim my bangs and then leave the rest of it long. And like, I just, you know, you look back at and you're like, what were you thinking? You know, it's just, that's not what, that doesn't work, you know. But whatever, you know. So, what got me hooked on rock and roll? Or I should say being in a band. I had in 8th grade, yeah, I can't, I'm just yelling over the music. So in 8th grade, that trio, like I told you, my 2 buddies that live nearby, there was a school talent contest, talent show, and we're playing this show, you know, so we did, what was it, Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner. And those, you know, it's really just the guitar player just knew those 3 chords, you know? I mean, we're how old are you? 13, you know? And on a bass that's like crazy easy to play or whatever. So, but as you guys know, obviously I'm a singer, right? So I get up there, I'm on the mic. I mean, there's no describing how nervous I was all day at school. I had like the lyrics of the song in my pocket, and like, you know, in class I'm reading it over and trying to like, you know, make sure I don't forget the lyrics. It's kind of nerve-wracking, to be honest. And then it was like, okay, those report to the blah 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 blah, you know, go on down to the theater there and that. So the curtains open, and my God, there's the whole school there, you know. And then the guitar kicks in, and everyone freaking lit up. Like, people jumped out of their seats screaming, girls rushed the stage. And this is not at all what I was expecting to happen. But I'm telling you, the high I got from that was like zing, you know, off the charts. So you can imagine 13-year-old Donald wanting to be a rock star, you know, and then that happens. It just was crazy cool, and I haven't come down from that cloud ever since. You know. I like them apples. Okay. Thank you, Imperial Crusader. Let's see. Corey says I had a mohawk till my early 20s, so I ain't gonna point no fingers. When I was in college, I hung out with a lot of punk rockers, as they call them, and I can remember, like, you know, getting ready for parties, and they'd be in the bathroom, you know, using hairspray and like egg yolks. They would use egg yolks to, like, you know, get their hair to stand up in these huge spiky styles. It was fun. I never did that, you know, but like they were a lot of fun. Yeah. It was interesting. It was kind of like I mean, it's art school, so obviously you know, and I'm young. I wasn't, you know, J-pilled or anything. I didn't know anything, you know. And so, like, it was kind of like a hippie scene and a punk rock scene that just kind of mushed into one. And that's what it was. So, and I was in a band in college as well, but that was a whole other, that could be a story, but I'm not sure it would suit this audience. It's a different period of my life. So what do we got? I says music is the universal language. It's magic. I totally agree with you, and I've been shaved bald twice as a woman. Ouch. Once for the Navy, okay, and once for watching American History X, okay, and seeing how cool Fariza Balk looks. Faruza, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. That's quite an inspiration you got there. I overdid it right here. Maybe I can wash it out a bit. Nothing really much to say about the college band. I mean, none of that actually sort of fits into the, like, stuff that we would talk about or want to talk about. But it's just sort of kind of life experience stuff, you know. All right, I guess I'll get back to the shading here. I feel like I want to hold off on any more of that. Putting the lights in. All right. Thanks for staying with me, guys, and chatting with me. It's great to have your company and your friendship. And literally anytime you have a question or a thought, any kind of stuff you want to chat about, that's fun. So, what I'm 99% sure that I'm going to do is I'll do an oil or acrylic painting of this on a canvas that'd be larger. I mean, I don't know how large, but this is art, but I think having a color version on a canvas, I feel like I want to work that out. I want to see how that's going to work. I don't know that there's anything wrong with duplicating a piece like this. Does that like take away from the value or the quality of it? I would say no. If you look at a lot of, oh God, any of the famous modern artists, Picasso, Van Gogh, whoever, you'll see that they do sketches of things that they're going to paint. And those are very valuable. They're very beautiful. I find it interesting because it's part of the process, the art process, and every stage in that process is part of the art. And there you go. It's funny. When I wrote that song, it's like an anti-Antifa song. And it's an anthem essentially for, people who are marching against things like drag queen events and that shit. Peacefully marching, of course. Where am I going with this? Oh yeah. So I wrote the song 2017ish or 18, 17, and at the time I was in a band, and the guitar player is liberal, and he was definitely not on board with the messaging, but he couldn't deny that he freaking loved that song. It was like, ah, damn, that's such a good song. But I don't agree with it, but damn, it's such a good song. So like we would always have a lot of fun playing it. I mean, it's got a kind of that punk rock spirit. Okay, I'll turn this one up. These days weigh so heavy on my soul. How can we be so young? It feels so old. For years we cried the truth, but no one listens. They have every excuse to hide the heart they're missing. Okay, we got a comment. I says, has anyone heard of Alan Polhouse buying land in Maine? I read an SPLC article about the Blood Tribe. He's wanting to build up a white enclave there, mask off, so to speak. I heard about that a while ago. I don't know what's up with it now. I find it very amazing and inspiring how it's happening. Like it's happening, like the Jews are finally getting exposed. The conservative ink is getting exposed. you know, the narrative is way out there. You know, it's not over until we win, but we're headed in that direction. And I'm actually getting to a place where I feel like I can let go of the wheel for a while. And of course, it's the time to be online and engaging and, you know, running campaigns with the troops of shitlords. But at the same time, there's a side of me that's like, okay, I don't know how to put it. It's like, you know, that you got your kid on a bicycle with training wheels, and then you take the wheels off and you push, 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 and then you gotta let go, you know? And I feel like, are we at that place? Are we, when I say we, I mean the real we, like the people who've been fighting all along, you know? I guess we still have to be in the fight. I don't, of course, this is the fight. My art is the fight, you know? But, I don't know, does this make sense what I'm saying to you? I feel, I guess what I'm saying in a sense is that I can change gears to looking after myself more, which I desperately need, and my art, getting back to my art. Like, how great would it be if I was putting music out again? It's coming. It's just, there's a bit of work ahead of me. I'm actually going to be taking a vacation from work, and the vacation time will be cleaning up, getting the studio in order, kickstarting myself, like it's hard to put this to words, but to get my art business literally out of the, you know, off the runway, you know. But it's so fucking hard to do that when you got a full-time job, you know. It's like you're tired when you come home, you know. I did that song live at the White Art Collective Music Festival, and that's a complex guitar part to play, plus with the vocals and remembering all the lyrics. So when I finally got done with the song, I was like, okay, that's out of the way, you know, because it just takes like a lot of concentration, and you traveled thousands of miles to get to the location, and you rehearsed, and then, you know, you better not mess up.
No longer about the medium or the art object, but the concept of it. The leftist ego pleasuring itself. It's how offensive and bizarre and unrelatable and alienating can we be in an adolescent rebellion of vulgarity and anti-art, mute in technique and neurotically feminist. They reward mediocrity, and they lower the taste of culture. It's the corporate standard, and it's a canned art that can be reproduced over and over and over.
Andy Warhol is the Antichrist of art.
The art world is run by the elite cultural mafia
This music, by the way, is by the Australian synthwave master Syntheside. May he rest in peace.
Whoever controls the museums, the art history, the literature, they control how we see our own history. Great artists must form their own media platforms, their own sales networks, their own cultural venues, never needing to qualify to our world. And it's different.
Okay, we got a comment. But the soap can is pastel now. Pretty cool, huh, guys? The soup can, sorry, the soap can. Is it really? Warhol soup can, that is. Funny, one of my friends in our art community, who is also someone I highly respect as an artist, he said something interesting to me about, like, I don't know how to paraphrase it, but something to the effect that he doesn't like to see me using like rulers and templates like this, that it's not natural to my art. And I thought, you know, like there's, I get it that there's something mechanical about it, you know, but at the same time, it's just required, you know, it's just required when you're doing certain kinds of work. And I would like to be using a lot more architecture in my work. So that would mean I'm going to be using a lot more rulers, you know. I feel like architecture is such an important part of Western culture. So we're gonna have to hook that up. Hook it up, dude. So something interesting to add here, listening to that just reminded me, in August, I am going to have Josh Neal on my show. Josh is a good friend. It's been a while since we've been in touch. You know, life happens and that blah, blah, blah. So it's really just a kind of a fun, chill show. I had this idea. Uh-oh. Let's see what's going on with the music here. No, we don't want that. Here's a good song. So where am I going? So I had this idea that we would go into my old meme stash folder and just, you know, do like a walkthrough. And kind of a walk down memory lane of memes from like 2016 to today. And I bet you a lot of people have, great meme stashes or whatever, and that even could be like a cool, what do you call it, like a fad almost, or a thing, I guess. In terms of like going through your meme stash. I think that would be neat. So whatever. There you go. There you go. Actually, it just came up with an amazing idea. Oh, you know what? Shit. Damn it. I just had an idea and I blew it. I was thinking of making this circle white and then this one black, but I already, and I had the idea just at the wrong moment. I don't, I could make the one in the back white. Doesn't actually make sense. Don't worry, I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. Get out of here. It seems like I should be telling stories. Well, let me get back to that. So, Josh Neal, I don't know when the last time he was really online. I know he was doing shows with Thamster. And a lot of those shows, they're like reading philosophy books and then like discussing them. And they're, it's cool stuff. I love that stuff. But imagine the time it takes just to, you have to read a whole book just to do a show, So that's quite an investment. That's fine. So I'm certainly not gonna make poor Josh go through that. And just it'd be fun and relaxing to look at the old meme stash and then maybe have a laugh or be like, oh yeah, remember that, remember when that happened. Probably, I don't know how much Trump stuff I have in there. I don't know, we'll see. What I'll have to do first is go in and make sure that I take out, there's like a bunch of other photos like mixed into it, pictures of me and stuff, so I'll get that out of there. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. I feel like, meme stash, like that could just be the name of the show, Come on the show and share your meme stash, and then we just have a laugh. And memes are gonna clearly, like bring up a lot of discussion or conversation. Could be pretty fun. I don't know, I just think it'd be like a fun time. I'm sure that there'll be some very based memes, maybe some not memes that could get you shut down. That's actually a good question. If I'm doing it on YouTube, do I want to do that? How far can you go? How much truth can you tell? Oh, talk about telling truth. I was gonna do a musical accompaniment to Pearly Things